In this drawing, this video, I'm going to try and go through the 2018 to 2020 ortho-threaded sections. There has been an ortho-threaded section every of the last 20 years of papers. There sometimes can be questions where they want you to talk about third angle projection, and what that means is that you get the top view on the top and the front view on front, and they need to line up. They can't be all over the place. So I've drawn my construction lines, and then I've firmed in. I've got top and front. In Australia we use third angle projection. I will say though that has been less of a thing these days, right? That's been less of a thing. So I just make it clear that I'm talking about even if you have the views in the right spot and they don't line up, you'll still lose marks. So it's important that top view is on top and that they line up. We're going to do a half section. So when we do a half section, I have a picture of an apple. We can see that in a half section we're showing half of the apple in section, which means we're removing effectively 1/4 of the apple, right? Our section line would be 1/4 of the apple. Because I'm using a whiteboard, I'm going to use different colours to represent my thick lines, my dark lines. I had already started drawing this drawing, but the camera was pointed in another direction, so I restarted. The part we've done so far, I think, is fairly, there's not a whole lot going on that's really of concern. What I talked about a little bit is, we talked about how we worked out this dimension. So if we know that this distance, we're told that this is an M30x4 bolt. Does that mean it's fine or coarse?
Fine.
Fine, right? The x means it's fine, right? So the d min, the distance from the outside to the inside, is going to be, this is going to be 30 minus. So I'm just going to show those dimensions in green just to show that's my working out. The outside here is 30. This is our d, which is 30. And then this value here is d min, which is 30 minus 4, which is 26. Right, so that gives us that dimension, that d min dimension. Now, this dimension, we're told that the outside here is a diameter of 40. And if this is d min is 30, that means, oh sorry, it's 44. What that means, 44 minus 30 equals 14. But there's two sides, so that means this is 7 millimeters, right? So 14 divided by 2 equals 7. That's how we get that 7. Now, that dimension is far more likely to matter, whereas this dimension here, taking this 4 millimeters off the drawing, that distance there is 4 millimeters, I don't think that you'd lose marks over that. So if you're rushing for time, and it's important that if this is a 6-mark question, you have 11 minutes or less to do this question, right? If it's 11 minutes, you maybe don't have time to measure everything. If you can't see it quickly, if you're looking and say, I just can't see the distance, I can't see the size, then you're probably better off just doing something reasonable, because I don't think you're going to lose a whole lot of marks for that dimension. Now, when I drew this, I drew the whole thing, and what we're going to do, normally with a construction line, I would not remove it, but for you, I'm going to remove it just because I don't want to confuse you with the colours. And we're going to go through now, and we're going to section. Now, in the HSC, the HSC gives us answers. I don't think we should be sectioning this part here. I don't think that should be sectioned. I think that we should be leaving that to be following our rule of half sectioning. So that's the difference between me and the HSC. So what I'm going to go through now is I'm going to use my section lines. And it should be thick, dark, and then thin, dark lines. So because we've got a hole, it's cylindrical, it should have a section line. Now, the outside thread, it's going to be hard for me to draw over these lines perfectly without a ruler, but we'll see how I go. They should be thick, dark lines. The inside line should be thin, dark lines. Now, here, we have, this is solid, so I've drawn that as thick dark line already, but that's solid. I could have a different spacing. I could even change the angle because this material is not the same as that material. I don't think you're going to lose marks for using the same angle, but for me, I'm going to use the same angle, but I'm going to have different spacings. Because they are a different material. And then we have a center line through here. And even though this is not a hidden detail, we can still show our center line through here as well. Now, the last thing we need to do is we need to show our break line. Now, the break line, if you just did this, I think you'd get that. I don't think you'd lose any marks. But technically, you should actually have it threaded like this. Yeah, I had that in a different direction to show it's a different material. Again, I don't think that the HSC, yeah, they have a different spacing, but that's about it. That's pretty much everything I can think of for this drawing, right? For 6 marks, yeah, like not having to show the top view, I think makes it a lot easier than they could have been. I think they could have shown the top view for 6 marks. I have seen a few responses, and I can tell you that it's important that for a 6-mark question, you have to make an attempt, right? You have to draw something because there's 2 marks for the taking just for simply trying, just for putting some sort of picture on the paper will get you 2 marks. Okay, so we've done our 2018 paper. It was question 24. We're going to move on to now the 2019 paper, and I'm going to try and draw that one for you. That one, we've got the question on the board in a second. I'll clear the picture. Feel free to use the skip button if you're watching this on YouTube. Yeah. Okay. The 2019 paper looks like this. Keep going. Wait, this is 2020. 2019 looks like this. Okay, this is only worth 3 marks. The last 2 years the paper has only been worth 3 marks. They give us a pretty good outline of where to start, so I think that's part of the reason why they can make this easier. I don't have the outline here. Okay, so what have they given us? I will draw that up. They have given us this corner, and a center line. Now, ordinarily, center line should be in blue, but I did this one in black because it was printed on the page. So, printed on the page, right? And then they actually did a thinner center line here. So, using green for our construction lines, the first thing we need to do is so they've told us that it's 5 millimeters thickness for the things, 50 mil long. We can assume that we've got the dimensions that we can measure 50 mil from. So it's not even a matter of assuming if it's in the center or not. It's 5 millimeters thick. Now, you'll notice that I am not using a rule to measure these. And so this goes into my point of, don't get too fixated on dimensions. They don't care about dimensional accuracy these days. I think marking online has really affected that. What they're far more interested in is that you have understood the question. Now, I think something a lot of people forget and a lot of people would have lost marks for is they said, this mounting hole is M10 times 1.5. Final course? Is it final course? Fine, because it's got an X. Right? Now that said, I would not be doing the deduction, me personally, to get 8.5 millimeters. I'd just say it's close enough that the marker's not going to be able to see looking at a scan on the screen. Now, I have to draw this bolt. Again, I think if you free-handed this bolt, I think you would, or this pin, you wouldn't lose any marks. Okay. Here's the dimensions. Use a scale of 1 to 2. Drawings in the drawing, lock pin diameter. Draw a fully sectioned top view. Okay, so we're pretty close to having finished the whole drawing. Now the question is, do we section this pin? I don't think you would lose marks for sectioning this pin as long as you had sectioned something, right? But that's my position, right? What we want to do is we're going to outline our shapes in black, which I've got black here. So once we've done our construction lines, we're going over it in a thick dark line. Now the outside of our threaded section is in thick dark lines. A whole pin. Now this is why you don't section, you pay attention, because now I have to rub out the page, right? Because this is going to be, you'd lose a mark there for doing what I did. This here, you're going to lose a mark. This is the correct answer. Now, why am I unsure whether or not I should section this or not? Well, we don't section threads, right? We don't section washes, we don't section webs. So this is kind of in a grey area, this cylindrical object. I'm not sure whether or not I should section it. So I don't think you're going to lose marks. I will tell you that there were drawings that showed this section here as being, that was a detail. I don't think even anyone lost marks for not including that detail there, that hole. And certainly not showing the center line, I don't think you're going to lose marks, but you should. There's even an element where you would be, a really advanced answer would say, oh, well, that would curve in. But you've got to remember, this is a 3-mark question. There's just not that much room for differentiation between a student who knows literally nothing and a student who's gone to a lot of work of showing the correct answer. So, funnily enough, I didn't also print out the answer, the HSC answers. This internal thread, so this is how we view threads from the top, or axially, through that center line. Remember, we need to draw a center line here. Now, in my discussion with markers, I've made the point that, I think these lines are really important. I think that these should definitely be a part of marks. But for 3-mark questions, I would just again say there's not a whole lot of room for a lot of differentiation. For a 6-mark question, we're in a much better position where we can start forcing. This is nothing where I smudged it with my hand, sorry. I think if you're going to show that hole, I think at that point it probably makes sense to section. So let's just say for the sake of it, we are going to section. Well, if we are going to section, let's go like that. Yeah, just to show that this is a different material. If we go to a section. I don't think you'd lose marks one way or the other, personally. Okay, so that's what we're doing for the 2019 question. Feel free to skip. I think the world's best. Okay, and then last one. Did they give us an outline? The HSE, I now found my answer. The HSE did not section the pin. But like I said, I don't think you're going to lose marks one way or the other. Do I have this answer? I do have this answer. Good. Okay. I'm looking for this answer even though I have seen this drawing a lot. So what I was looking for is, did they give us the outline? What was the outline? That was what I wanted to look at. Can't wait to find the one that I photocopied. No, we're just going to run with it. Okay, so they definitely gave us something. I think they gave us this shape. It's going to kill me. I'm sorry, people I'm watching on the internet. I just need to know what was outlined. Thank you. Okay, so what was outlined is they gave us this curve, they gave us the corners, so they started with this, and they gave us the nut, dimension is very important. Okay, they gave us the center line and they gave us a break line. So the reason I included these as for the homework I did, I'll just quickly print in the, were they thick dark? Yeah, pretty thick dark. You know, I'm going to do it in blue just to maintain the convention that that's what they should be. Okay, so that's what they gave us, and so what they're looking for, I'm going to actually put some black. They gave us those lines. What do we have to do? So we're going to draw this circle. We know that we need to show another circle within it. We know that that didn't require a whole lot of thought there, this line, but what we need to do is we need to calculate the width. So again, they've written M30x 3.5, which is final course. Yeah, I know, it's getting repetitive. It would be, actually helpful if we had a couple of course just to show the point. But, so what we're looking at here is we have the eyelet, I guess I'm going to call that. So that's a slightly rounded. Now, I don't think you're going to lose anything for marks, right? I don't think you're going to lose anything for dimensional accuracy, right? You can say with a fair amount of confidence you're not going to lose marks for dimensional accuracy. Oh, we can actually even infer things here. So I don't think I saw anyone who used a compass to draw. In my experience, I don't think I've seen people use compasses to draw this. We should show some amount of thread. Now, because of this break line, we can't know how much thread protrudes, but some amount should be shown as protruding. So I'm going to draw that in. And then center lines are really important. Now, in the HSE answers, you can see that there are actually multiple center lines we could have, because there's the center line for the bend, there's the center line for this, and there's a center line for that. As long as you show one center line, I think that would be sufficient. Like I said, I don't know how much concern there was for those. These lines should be thin, light lines. I don't think that there was a huge issue of that, but I maintain when I do my marking there should be a difference between the line weights. Okay. Thank you. I will quickly line these in, but for people watching, feel free to go and enjoy your weekend.